قالوا بشرناك بالحق فلا تكن من القانطين.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back once again to the Saved Sect series. This is part 3. We will be continuing inshallah with the sect Al-Khawarij, where we left off last time. For those watching on YouTube, not to be mistaken, inshallah, the thumbnail, I understand it has Al-Khawarij on it, but we don't mean that that's the Saved Sect. We explained in the first year, we had some we had some people, subhanAllah, thinking we're saying the Khawarij were the Saved Sect. Forgive my graphic design skills, yani. I'll try work on that, inshallah.
They can just watch the video.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And realize.
That's okay. So inshallah, yeah, we'll work on that. What was I going to say? SubhanAllah. Flew over my mind. Inshallah khair. Anyway, other than that, I think there's no issues. Yeah, sorry, we spoke about the first episode that the Saved Sect is obviously what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions were upon. I think we've made that clear in the first episode. The next parts coming up, inshallah, we're just discussing the other sects of Islam and how they deviated, etc., and what they are upon, inshallah. So where we left off last time, Sheikh, was the fitna of Muawiyah and Ali radiallahu anhuma. So we also discussed the fitna between the dispute between Umar ibn Khattab and Abu Bakr.
So we first Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Go for go.
We first discussed the minor differences between.
No.
That was in the last episode, was it?
Yeah,
it was. Okay, so we discussed the minor differences between the Sahaba, and we said that these differences happened.
Yeah.
And the reason why we mentioned these differences is because later on down the track, when we talk about other sects, they're going to utilize these differences, correct, as their proofs.
Yeah.
So I think it was good that we mentioned that. We didn't mention that to say that their differences is what formed a sect. No, but we did mention that the Sahaba did differ and the Sahaba did dispute, and their disputes weren't major. Obviously, besides the dispute between Ali and Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, who their dispute wasn't an i'tiqadi dispute. It wasn't a dispute based on belief in Allah or belief in, or different types of rulings or applying rulings and etc. It was a dispute. We explained that dispute. If anyone wants to go back to it, they can watch the last episode. And also we said that, that the Khawarij were the first group to form.
So we were speaking about how they were 8,000 amongst those who were with Ali. They like kharaju anhu.
8,000 left.
Yeah, and then where they sent someone to discuss with them, like pretty much to talk with them, and then
Abdullah ibn Abbas.
Abdullah, that's the one. Yeah. To discuss with them, what's their reasons for leaving, and then 4,000 pretty much returned after he spoke with them. And 4,000 remains. These 4,000 that remained were now known as the Al-Khawarij.
Correct.
Al-Khawarij. Naam. So that's where we left
off. Look. Yes. Yeah. In a nutshell. Yeah. In a nutshell, definitely. What you're saying is correct. In a nutshell.
Yeah. It's hard to summarize a whole.
Because once they've left off that belief, they're no longer Khawarij.
Yes, that's right.
So the fact that they went back with Abdullah ibn Abbas, and even some of them, Ali himself spoke to some of them, and that they went back, they're no longer considered Khawarij.
No.
And then the ones that were remained, they actually adopted khalas, the Khawarij
mentality,
mindset. Or you can say they adapted themselves as the Khawarij. But really they were called Khawarij as soon as they kharaju an Ali.
No.
And as soon as they said khalas, we leave off, we turn, we don't want nothing to do with you, we want nothing to do with your tahkim, we want nothing to do with your imara. This is khuruj. And the word Khawarij comes from khuruj.
Yeah.
Khuruj is they have left.
Exactly.
Kharaju an Ali radiallahu anhu. So the Khawarij stemmed, and the Khawarij became groups, multiple sects. But as we mentioned last week, that he says that the Khawarij, all of them at the time, at that time, all of them were in agreement of the things we mentioned that they disputed with Ali on.
No.
Now they all of them agreed. The ones after Ali radiallahu anhu sent Abdullah ibn Abbas, to speak with them.
Yeah.
And these conversations happened, and 4,000 of them returned. The ones who remained, they all were in unison and in agreement that على تكفير علي رضي الله عنه, that Ali is a kafir. All of them. Yeah, definitely. This is what خرجوا عنه.
Yeah.
فهي says here أجمعت الخوارج على إكفار علي بن أبي طالب رضوان الله عليه.
If I'm not mistaken, the Shia are a sect of the Khawarij, correct? Or no, the
There's a Shia or another.
Rafida. Sorry, Rafida.
No. So there will be later on. You will see a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
With a lot of sects, but the establishment of the sects are different.
Got you.
For example, we will be speaking about the Shia. Their establishment was different to the establishment of the Khawarij.
Yes.
Like the Khawarij, for example, they, maybe we'll just give a little bit of insight.
Yeah.
The Khawarij, they kharaju.
Yes.
They turned away from Ali and kaffaru. The Shia, they were excessive in Ali.
The other way
around.
Uh-huh.
You get me?
Yes.
So there's, but obviously in the deviants, they're very similar, because you'll see some of the beliefs are very similar.
No.
Now, the ones who remained all unanimously agreed that Ali is a kafir, and that Muawiyah is a kafir, and that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari is a kafir, and Amr ibn al-As is a kafir, because they were all involved in the whole tahakum issue. And we said that tahakum is, they were in battle, they were fighting, and they said, listen, let's come together and form and judge between one another. And they said, no, the hukum is for Allah.
Yes.
And we said that this is when they bathul fitna, when they would walk around and telling the people, in al-hukmu illa lillah.
They used qawlan sahih.
They used Ali radiallahu anhu. He said kalimatu haqqin. All right. Uridu biha batil. Yani this is a word of truth, but intended behind that was evil, was batil, was falsehood. What's important to understand, and look, I don't want to get too much into the Khawarij and their subsects, because after they formed, they began, and they branched off into 13, and then from that 13 they branched off into like another 4
from each one of the 13.
Every group, because what happens is, you got to understand something, that the Khawarij, they have no usul, and they're very naive, and we're going to talk about it. But one thing I do want to mention is that, just so everyone can keep in mind and understand, that when we're talking about the Khawarij now, we're talking about at the time of Ali radiallahu anhu, they all agreed that he was a kafir, but they disagreed whether he was a mushrik kafir or just a kafir.
Okay.
You get me?
Yeah.
So there's some of them said, he's a kafir. Others said he's a mushrik. And
we know because he حكم والحكم لله.
Yeah. No, that he أشرك في الحكم, so he's a mushrik.
Yeah.
هلا نحن we know there's a difference. We know that shirk is kufr, but not all kufr is shirk.
Correct.
As we know.
Yes.
And shirk, like kufr is disbelief, shirk is associating partners with Allah Ta'ala. All shirk is kufr, but not all kufr is shirk. You know what I mean?
Yes. You can just simply not even believe in Allah.
So they said whether he was a mushrik or a kafir. They disputed on that. But at the end of the day, if they all agreed that he was a kafir, then they all agreed that fighting him was yajuz, was permissible. And killing him was permissible. And khuruj anhu is permissible. And they can't, because unless they... that's one of the sifat of the Khawarij, and we're going to talk about it, is that the Khawarij, they kill, or they yastahillun dima the Muslims, especially when it comes to their rulers, if they kharaju anhum, because la yakhrujun anhum illa bi takfirihim. They don't leave them unless they make takfir of them.
No.
All right. Now, and he says here, وَأَجْمَعُوا عَلَى أَنْ كُلْ كَبِيرَ كُفْرٍ. They agreed that every major sin is kufr.
How did they come to that conclusion? Like, what's their proof for saying a major sin is kufr? Even though, there is obviously repercussions for committing a major sin.
Good question. And that question is coming because you're asking that, look, for example, surely these people were people of knowledge and understanding.
No.
Right? Yes, but they weren't people of fiqh. So they weren't. So there were people that knew knowledge, but they didn't. But when people who understood knowledge, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to get to that later on. Just like they said to Ali, you know, that only Allah rules, only Allah judges, and the Prophet and Allah Ta'ala in His book mentions that. فَبَعْثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ. You know, Allah Ta'ala mentions that in the Quran. He said that they said that when you wiped Amir al-Mu'mineen, when you wiped it from the contract, from the agreement, he said, if you're not Amir al-Mu'mineen, then you're Amir al-Kafirin. And then he said, didn't the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam rub Rasulullah?
No.
Khalas, now just because he rubbed Rasulullah, he's no longer the Rasul of Allah. Yani there's many things that they utilized as proofs, but they were
Khawarij.
no, they were wrong in that.
Wrong.
The 4,000 that returned were the pure from them, were the ones who wanted the haqq, and the haqq was clear to them. The 4,000 that remained didn't. Okay? And there was a massive agenda. There was a whole agenda behind this whole thing. And when you talk about the Khawarij, like some of the Mufassir, some of the Mu'arikhin, the historians in Islam, they say, Ibn Kathir and the likes, they say that the Khawarij mentality, all right, it stemmed even at the time of the Prophet ﷺ.
But it wasn't.
Obviously, it wasn't established. No. But they said that mentality. For example, the man who said to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "O Muhammad, be just." The one who said to the Prophet ﷺ to be just. When he said, "Ya Muhammad, i'dil," and then the Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Woe to you! If I'm not just, then who's just?" You know. And then one of them said to him, "Ya Muhammad, ittaqillah." O Muhammad, you know, fear Allah. And he said, who's amongst us that is more fearing of Allah than I am? Not out of arrogance, but this is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
No, correct, yeah.
And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in these two instances, he mentioned two qualities of the Khawarij. In the first instance, he said, a time would come when people like this, all right? He said, you would see them recite the Quran. He said, and you would belittle your recital. He said, you would see them recite and you would belittle your own recitation. Yani from how eloquent they are in their recitation. He said, and they would fast and you would belittle your fast. And they would pray and you would belittle their prayer. But he says in a narration, he says, but their reciting does not pass their throats. It doesn't get to them. Some of the ulama said here, this meaning is it doesn't get to their hearts. Some of them said they don't understand what they recite. Some of them say that they're not affected by what they recite. Prophet ﷺ, he said about them, sufaha'u ahlam. He said they are young, but they're very dumb in their judgment, and they're very naive and quick to make decisions. So the Khawarij, all of them, or the Aqidah of the Khawarij. Now, listen, they branch off.
Yeah.
They update. So not every sect of the Khawarij will hold the actual
like core principles they were upon.
Just like, for example, Ahl Sunnah was the first sect.
Yeah.
And then every other sect branched off it, and they no longer hold the principles of Ahl Sunnah.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the original Khawarij, they believed that every single major sin was kufr. Means a person, if he commits a major sin, هذا kufr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Except for one, and they are called an-Najadat. All right? They're a group of the Khawarij. They don't agree that the Khawarij, you got to understand something, right? These 4,000, for example, these 4,000 are not in unison on everything. And remember, they're not there, yani khalas, it's become clear, the haqq has become clear.
Yeah.
These 4,000 are Allahu Alam, and they're even subgroups in within, you know.
Wow.
And like you would have a group and a group and a group and a group within these 4,000. Some of them didn't agree with some principles, but they were all in unison with the major core principles.
Takfir of Ali,
you know what I mean? Definitely. Yeah. And the khuruj.
Yeah.
And you know, they were definite on that.
Yeah.
Now the Khawarij disputed. The Khawarij began to dispute. They were no longer in unison. And they began to dispute. And he says, أول من أحدث الخلاف بينهم نافع بن الأزرق الحنفي. So there was a man named Nafi' bin al-Azraq al-Hanafi. Okay? He caused a dispute between the Khawarij. Obviously, why? Now we're talking in time.
Yeah, obviously.
But I'm only mentioning his name to tell you that the Khawarij were kind of one until this man came along.
Nafi'
bin al-Azraq al-Hanafi. All right? Got nothing to do with the Hanafi madhab. Got nothing to do with the Hanafi madhab. Got nothing to do with the Abu Hanifa.
Yeah.
Got nothing to do with any of that.
So up until he came, they were
they were sort of in unison, okay? And then from there they branched. From there they branched. The Azariqa, then they became some of them were named as Al-Najdiyya, Al-Ajarida, Al-Maymuniyya, Al-Khalfiyya, Al-Hamziyya, Al-Shu'aybiyya. These are all groups of the Khawarij. Within. You're not going to sit there and mention some of them have spinner belief or they differ in one small thing, or honestly, wallahi, it's like so petty. Sometimes you read some of it. It's just like, they were together and then they disputed over a matter, so he formed his own group and changed the belief on it's that's what happens. You know what I mean? Yani, it's not like core principles of khalas. It's like they all were together, or one of them spoke to his wife, for example, and his wife said, if you continue with him, then I want a divorce, and he branched off and started his own sect. These
things like this happen nowadays.
Yes, but no, Al-Khazimiyya, Al-Tha'aliba, Al-Sultiyya, Al-Majhuliyya, Al-Ma'lumiyya. These are all groups of the Khawarij. You know what I mean? And they all they just branched and continued to branch. Or Al-Akhnasiyya, Al-Mu'badiyya, Al-Shaybaniyya, Al-Ziyadiyya, Al-Rashida. These are all groups. Al-Ibadiyya, which are a major group of the Khawarij. Al-Safariyya, Al-Faydakiyya, Al-Makramiyya. These are all groups of the Khawarij.
And each and every one of them thought they were on the haqq.
It's just a branch. Look, once you deviate, there's nothing khalas.
There's no usul.
That's it.
You can do whatever you want.
You've deviated. This is why, for example, the Ash'a'ira today, why do Ahl Sunnah call the Ash'a'ira, or they say that the Ash'a'ira today are in fact, or they began as Jahmiyyah. And the Ash'a'ira, we're not Jahmiyyah. But the whole i'tiqad, the whole aspect of that belief started from Jahm.
No.
And yes, all right, some you guys dropped some of the things Jahm, Al-Jahm ibn Safwan. We're going to talk about that. These sects that are a bit closer to Ahl Sunnah are a lot more detailed. Because there's a lot more fitan and there's a lot more.
Sometimes you can't even tell them apart. You think.
But like with the Khawarij, they're clear. You know what I'm saying? They're clear. But the Khawarij themselves, after splitting into all of these groups, they continued. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he mentioned the narrations regarding to these Khawarij, for example, that they are young, that they are naive, that they are quick to make decisions, and the many of the ulama mentioned that they are very. You would find that a sifa from the Khawarij is that they leave. يتركون عباد الأوثان. They leave the worshippers of statues, all right. ويقتلون المسلمون, and they fight the Muslims. And you'd find this. Read up about any group of the Khawarij. That's what's happening. Even the Khawarij at the time of Ali.
And they're more concerned with the Muslims themselves than the true enemy.
Any time the Khawarij appear, you would find that they are more concerned with the Muslims than they are concerned with the kuffar. And they tell you, they say things like, we need to clear the ummah from the mushriks before we go and fight the true kuffar, or the actual, the kuffar,
the clear enemy,
the clear kuffar.
Yeah.
Now, the tawheed, the Khawarij, all right. قول الخوارج في التوحيد. With the tawheed, they're very similar to the Mu'tazila. All right, what the Mu'tazila? The Mu'tazila is that the Quran is created, okay, and that Allah Ta'ala does not have a place, and some of His attributes they don't they don't uthbut, they don't confirm some of his attributes because it goes against their intellect. All right.
Like faces and hand. And
قولهم في القرآن, they say that the Quran is created. Okay. Although there are some groups of the Khawarij that don't say that. يعني, but the actual يعني as Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari he says here رحمه الله, he says والخوارج جميعا يقولون بخلق القرآن, and he says والإباضية تخالف المعتزلة في التوحيد في الإرادة فقط. He said they all say that the Quran is created, okay, or they all on upon that the Quran is created.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the Khawarij's main issue is the takfir and the khuruj. Okay. And remember how we mentioned that with Ali radiallahu anhu, he went and he got 4,000 of them back.
Yes.
4,000 of them, or Abdullah ibn Abbas went and got 4,000 of them back. Now, to that, Ali radiallahu anhu, remember the time, it's time of fitna. And you remember when I said at the time of Uthman, they wanted to kill him, but he did not want to bear arms, and he did not allow anyone to bear arms.
Yes, correct.
Ali radiallahu anhu could have just eradicated the Khawarij. He could have eradicated the Khawarij. But as well, it was time of fitna, and it was just war. And so even Ali radiallahu anhu wanted to establish the Khilafah first, properly establish the Khilafah. Now when there was an agreement to withhold arms, so there wasn't a full agreement between Muawiyah and Ali, the only agreement was to stop fighting. For that time, to stop fighting, to stop the killing. Now, Ali radiallahu anhu, he exiled the Khawarij. Well, they didn't really exile the Khawarij, but they don't want to stay. Khalas. They were amongst his people. Once it became clear, and they were clear enemies, and they made it clear that they're his enemies, they left off. Okay, they left off, and they had their own place. Obviously, when they did do that, now the Khawarij were very barbarian. They were very treacherous. They have a treacherous nature. A Sahabi by the name of Abdullah ibn Khabbab. Yeah?
Abdullah ibn Khabbab.
Abdullah ibn Khabbab.
Ibn Khabbab, نعم.
Yep.
Sahabi.
Yeah, this Sahabi, he radiallahu anhu went to the Khawarij, or was passing by the Khawarij, and he was with his wife who was in her last month of pregnancy. Okay? So they said to him, the Khawarij, they said, are you not one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? And he said, yes. And then they said, tell us something you heard from the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, radiyallahu anhu, he said, I heard the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam say, a fitna will come. He said, where the one who is sitting is better than the one who is standing, and the one who is standing is better than the one who is marching. And then they said to him, لَعَلَّكَ تَقْصُدُنَا, it looks like you're talking about us. Yeah. He said, yes, I am.
Wow.
All right. So what did they do? They killed him. They
Didn't like what he said.
They didn't like what he said. So they killed him. And they killed his wife. And they split her stomach. And they threw the baby in the river. They're barbarians. خلاص استحلوهم.
خلاص, that's it.
خلاص, they're kuffar. Yeah, but even that, this is why you would see the sifat of the Khawarij. They cut people up, just in recent times, you know what I mean? We'll ask him, recite Surah Al-Fatiha. He makes 2 mistakes, and he knocks him. Wow. These are, they just asked him for a hadith, and he mentioned the hadith.
Yeah.
They didn't ask him, what do you believe? They didn't ask him,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So like for them, they justified the killing or the khuruj pretty much because they made takfir upon Ali and
Khalas,
and
once the takfir is made,
yeah.
Khalas.
But like when someone is telling you something, you're wrong about something, that doesn't justify killing them.
Yeah, but do you not understand
Khalas,
the mentality of the Khawarij? The Khawarij is, if I think someone is a kafir, if the Khawarij say we think this guy is a kafir, If you don't think he's a kafir, you're a
You're
kafir.
Wow.
Because they tell you man lam yukaffir kafir fahuwa kafir, which is an asl, which is it is a principle.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever does not make takfir of a kafir, all right, then he is a kafir. But brother, that's kufr asli, meaning whoever doesn't make takfir of someone who Allah said is a kafir,
Yeah,
like a Jew, Christian, you know what I mean, or someone's, you know, it's just like someone coming and saying, for example, oh no, Fir'aun is not a kafir. هذا كفر هذا لم يكفر كافر.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but you're coming now just because you think someone is a kafir, and this is what happens, and it happened in recent times, and it would happen. Here's what the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions that they are the dogs of the fire. They are from the worst of people.
Yeah, I was wondering, subhanAllah, like last episode you mentioned how the Prophet ﷺ spoke about them, then they didn't exist. But like you mentioned now, because of the sifat, the attributes, and you can kind of tell them, even though if they tell them apart from the normal people.
100%. No, you can tell Khawarij straight away.
Straight away, yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah, even though they didn't really exist or like weren't alan and etc. at his time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he still knew
You
about
can
them.
tell Khawarij straight away. If you're a person of understanding and knowledge, you'll tell Khawarij straight away.
Yes.
Because, like I said, they have many attributes. And from their attributes is, for example, that they fight the Muslims before they fight the Kuffar. And you'd find any time the Khawarij have emerged, bang, their first enemy is the Muslims. Their first enemy is the Muslims.
Some people, subhanAllah, even they're just the first people, like the most people that they argue with is Muslims, especially in fiqh matters.
But they don't kill them thinking they're Muslims.
Yeah. They think that they're kuffar.
Yeah, that's why they kill them.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But command the takfir is like, it's like generalized, chain takfir. And dealing with the people who have the mentality of the Khawarij were the worst people to deal with. Wallahi, they're from the worst people to deal with. Because even after, for example, Abdullah ibn Abbas, who's a Sahabi, he went to them and they said that this person is a man who the Prophet ﷺ said about this and such and so and so and so and so. Some of them said, it looks like you have been, tried with a fitna. And kaffaru Ali, who's mubashir fil Jannah, who's
one of the promise to the
Ali radiallahu anhu, they kaffaru. And like I said, the mentality existed. Even the mentality of the Shia existed, but it didn't stem, it didn't spread.
Yeah.
This is why the ulama say, or it's said that an idea, like Ibn al-Qayyim he mentions, an idea, a thought becomes an idea.
Yeah.
And an idea then becomes a belief. A belief, and then a belief becomes an action, and then an action becomes subhanAllah, something along those lines. For example, when we're going to talk about the Shia, you would see at the time of Ali, Abdullah ibn Saba, he would tell Ali, you are my Lord. He would say to him, Anta Rabbi, who was a Jew. Obviously to create fitna, but then that spread and became an actual belief.
Yeah.
Now, they killed his wife. So they killed Abdullah ibn Khabbab, the Khawarij.
Yeah.
Then they killed his wife, they split her stomach, and they threw the baby in the river. The news reached Ali. Because these guys don't just act, they want you to see what they done. Because they are treacherous people. They want you to see their transgression. Because they're people of fitna. You know what I mean? Look at what we did, And like I said, subhanAllah, you see, these are the attributes that they leave the people of the statues and they go towards the people of the Qibla, which are the Muslims. The news reached Ali, and Ali radiallahu anhu sent a man to ask them who killed him. Listen, look at Ali radiallahu anhu, still patient. He's the Khalifa, and all these fitna happening, and the Khawarij have left, and they've rebelled against him, and they've made takfir on him, and they've vowed to fight him, and now they've killed a Sahabi and his wife, and threw his child in the water, in the river, and now he sent them a messenger to say, give me whoever killed Abdullah ibn Khabbab and his wife. So whoever killed them, give them to me, or we're going to march. We're going to fight you.
Okay.
What was their response?
Come. I don't know, I'm missing.
They said, we all killed him.
Oh, wow.
They said, all of us. Yani meaning what?
Arrogant.
Yeah.
Come.
They said, every single one of us killed him.
Yani.
And remember, Ali is the Khalifa.
Yeah.
He's not Abu Jablo, not just some guy. Alright, his fitna with Muawiyah was one thing, and the people of Asham was one thing, and the battles, but don't just to put into perspective that time when Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, even though, like I said, we don't fault the Sahaba, well, not that we don't fault the Sahaba, but we don't look at their mistakes, nor we don't look at their errs. The army of Muawiyah was almost finished. They were almost.
Yeah.
The army of Ali was a lot stronger. The army of Ali, like definitely. And the army of Ali, like, let me show you how powerful the army of Ali was. Not many people, like, even in those battles, the number of you'd expect killed compared to other battles is very, very minute. Now, just to show you, Ali radiallahu anhu had a very powerful army, but Ali didn't want killing. So just give me whoever killed him, and we would deal with them. And they said we all killed them. So Ali radiallahu anhu, he formed an army, and he went to the Khawarij and he fought them in the battle of Nahrawan.
Nahrawan. Sorry, I didn't hear you properly.
Nahrawan.
No.
Remember we said there were 4,000.
Yes.
2,000 of them were killed.
Wow.
From the Khawarij. Guess how many of the army of Ali died? 6 or 7. 2,000? 6 or 7. Alright? So they killed 2,000 and the other 2,000 fled, and
that's it.
6 or 7 died from the army of Ali radiallahu anhu. Ali radiallahu anhu, he said to them, go amongst the dead of them, the dead of the Khawarij. I want you to go amongst them, and I want you to look for a man who has a lump of flesh on his hand. Dhuthadiyya. They used to call him. Alright? Dhuthadiyya.
Yeah. No.
Meaning he had like a
lump, very much.
Like imagine like a birthmark.
Yeah.
Or like how some people have that lump of meat of like
yes,
brown.
It's
brown.
like how they do, like, for example, surgery, and they move skin from one portion of the body to the other.
When someone it looks like a big massive a brown, very brown.
No.
It looks like a birthmark, but it's like a overlaying birthmark, and it's a lump of meat.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Something like that. It looks like it almost looks, subhanallah, it has a very similar consistency to a nipple. Subhanallah. He said, go and look for a man who has that on his hand. No one, they're tripping out. 2,000.
Good luck finding it.
They found him. They went to Ali radiallahu anhu, and they said to him, oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, we found him. He said, bring him to me. They brought him. He looked at his hand. He seen that he had this excess flesh on his hand. So he fell into sujood. And then he said, all praise is due to Allah. Allah and His Messenger have spoken the truth.
Did the Prophet ﷺ foresee this as well?
The Prophet ﷺ said, Ali radiallahu anhu said, he said, I heard the Messenger ﷺ say, there will be a fitna between my ummah, 2 groups. So a group will go rogue. On their own. So 2 groups.
Yes.
1 and 2. He said, from these 2 groups, one would go rogue. Who's that?
Khawarij.
Clear.
Yes.
You have the group of Ali
and
Muawiyah. Then you have the Khawarij. They went rogue on their own. He said, then a group will go rogue. He said, that group will be killed by the group who was on the haqq.
Did he specify the lump?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And he said that in that group, yes. He said the fitna between my ummah, so a group will go rogue, and the one who is closer to the truth will kill them. And he mentioned that amongst the group that went rogue is a man who has a lump of flesh on his hand. So this is why Ali said, go and look.
Find it, yeah.
Because he knew of the hadith of 2 groups of my ummah will get into a fitna, and then one of them would go rogue. So a group from them would go rogue, which were the Khawarij. He said that group that went rogue will be killed, will be destroyed by the group that is closer to the haqq.
Yes.
Ali radiallahu anhu believes is on the haqq. But this is proof.
Yeah.
For example, The killers of Az-Zubayr, the one who killed Az-Zubayr radiallahu anhu, was from the army of Muawiyah. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then when the man who killed Az-Zubayr was when he was subhanallah, what's that word?
I'm just searching. In the meantime, some brother asked a question about a hadith, so I'm pulling up the hadith he's mentioning.
You know when someone boasts, the one who killed
Zubair?
Az-Zubayr
Zubair.
boasted about the killing of Az-Zubayr. Yeah?
The person who killed Zubair boasted about it.
He boasted about the killing of Az-Zubayr. So it was said to him, woe to you. We heard the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, the one who kills, as he said, Az-Zubayr will be killed by the transgressing party.
To make it clear, yani, for those who witnessed.
For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, Az-Zubayr will be killed by the transgressing party.
Yeah.
The Sahaba at the time don't know what that means. They know that a transgressing party is going to kill Az-Zubayr.
Yeah.
At the time of the fitna, one of the people from the army of Muawiyah killed Az-Zubayr. And he was boasting about killing Az-Zubayr. So then it was said to him, you know, Az-Zubayr, the Messenger ﷺ mentioned that Az-Zubayr will be killed by the party that is transgressing. And also another narration that tell the one who kills Az-Zubayr that he's in the fire.
Talk about glad tidings.
You know, subhanallah. So now, Ali radiallahu anhu, what does he do? He fights the Khawarij, 2,000 of them are gone, are dead, 2,000 of them disperse. That's here, that's gone here, that someone's gone here, you know. Now, why I mention this is just to give you an idea that the Khawarij weren't completely eradicated.
Yeah.
But the Khawarij stronghold was gone.
Yeah.
Once the Khawarij stronghold was gone, okay, there were still heads of the Khawarij within those groups, and they love fitna. All they do is they love fitna, and they love fitna, and they love for the fitna to stem between the Muslims. You know? Now, did you say there's a question? Or?
Yeah. Sorry, just quickly. Sorry as well, if anyone else watching, inshallah, any questions, feel free to ask them. I know it's a discussion, but I'm looking as well. A brother asked I don't think this is relevant, but I'll ask it anyway, to explain the narration in Sahih Bukhari. Aisha radiallahu anha said, once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was bewitched, so that he began to imagine that he had done a thing which in fact he had not done. I don't understand the question, to be honest with you. What are you explaining it?
Explain the narration. Well, we can't explain that narration now because it's going to take too much time.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, yes, the Prophet ﷺ did have magic done onto him, and he was affected by that magic, but that did not affect his risala whatsoever.
His actual
because
message,
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he hafidahu when it comes to the wahi.
I get where they're coming from now.
And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. He does not speak of himself. All that he is revealed to, he speaks. And but yeah, in a nutshell, the Prophet ﷺ he did have magic on him, but then that magic was removed. Allah Ta'ala revealed the surah قل أعوذ برب الفلق قل أعوذ برب الناس to remove for the Prophet ﷺ, and he ordered to go to where the magic was done, which was done by a Jew, and he had 11 knots. I think he sent Ali radiallahu anhu, and he undid the knots, and the magic was relieved. But the Prophet ﷺ, he even mentions in a hadith, he said that his qareen had become Muslim. So the qareen, the jinn, the shaitan that's with him to command him to do evil has become Muslim. The effect of the jinn, of the shayateen wasn't really effective on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's all the questions we have. طيب, now what had happened? The Khawarij are now 2,000, give or take. They dispersed. Some of them said, sack this, man, this Khawarij thing's not working for us, we just got destroyed. Khalas, and let me just go back to selling whatever I need to sell. And then they became a small number, but the idea was still there, because the idea is still there till today.
That's
you know what I mean?
It still exists.
But some of them, they said no. They said no. Khalas. They said no. Now, how long have we got left?
We've got about 15 minutes,
All right.
give or take.
The historians mention, they said that in the army of Ali, and one of the heads of the Khawarij, whose name is Al-Ash'ath bin Qais, they said that he would write letters to Muawiyah about some of the plans of the army of Ali.
Some of the plans to plot against Ali.
Of the army of Ali.
So
Do you remember how we said the Khawarij did not want to rest arms?
Yes, yes. So until now as well, sorry, just to clarify, Muawiyah is still not with Ali, or?
They're not fighting no more.
Yeah, but
No. Sorry, I'm not going by sequence of events.
No, that's okay.
I'm telling you that even when the fighting was happening,
Yeah.
now I'm talking about Al-Ash'ath bin Qais.
Yes.
Forget everything. Now Al-Ash'ath bin Qais. Al-Ash'ath bin Qais. The historians mention that there is no fitna that happened to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu except behind it was Al-Ash'ath bin Qais.
Wow.
They said that no fitna, no issue
Yeah.
affecting Ali, no issue for Ali, no headache for Ali, let's use our lingo, except behind it was Al-Ash'ath bin Qais. Al-Ash'ath bin Qais, he was one of the heads of the Khawarij. Okay? And he, Al-Ash'ath bin Qais, he would write to Muawiyah. So he was in contact with Muawiyah, but he was in the army of Ali. And what he would do is he would give Muawiyah information regarding the army of Ali. And remember, they're fighting. There's a fitna happening. But what did they want? The Khawarij just wanted blood. That's it. They just wanted blood. The Khawarij were mainly in the army of Ali. Mainly. If they were mainly in the ranks of Ali radiallahu anhu. Al-Ash'ath bin Qais himself, why I'm mentioning his name, because his name will be repetitive whenever you talk about the fitan of the Khawarij concerning Ali radiallahu anhu. Another name to keep in mind is Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim. Okay? Now, we said 15 minutes. I think we'll wrap it up with this. Once the army has dispersed, the Khawarij have dispersed, these heads of the Khawarij said, listen, this is how we destroy them. We kill Ali, we kill Muawiyah, and we kill Amr ibn al-As.
The one that was sent from to judge.
Kill Ali, kill Muawiyah, kill Amr ibn al-As. Then the Muslims become,
Farratin.
Habba dabba. There's no Khalifa, there's no Amir of Asham, and there's no Amr ibn al-As was a very intelligent individual. So what did they do? They formed. Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim, he said, I will kill Ali. So Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim said, I will kill Ali. Alright? Al-Barq al-Tamimi, he said, I will kill Muawiyah. And Amr bin Bakr al-Tamimi, he said, I will kill Amr ibn al-As. Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim,
he will kill
he said,
Ali.
I will kill Ali.
Nah.
Leave Ali for me.
Yeah.
Al-Barq al-Tamimi, he said, I will kill Muawiyah. And Amr bin Bakr al-Tamimi, he said, I will kill Amr ibn al-As.
No.
And they all agreed that they would kill them on the 27th day of Ramadan.
Little Qadr.
Allah. That's the 27th night. Anyway,
yes.
So, Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim, and I want you to focus on these names. Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim, he stabbed Ali radiallahu anhu with a dagger, with a poison dagger at the prayer of Fajr.
That's the dagger that they claim that's the sword of Ali, correct?
The Allahu Alam. No. The sword that what they claim is now this whole that two teeth sword that they claim is a sword of Ali is in fact a Persian design of a dagger.
Yeah.
Not a sword, of a dagger. that was used by the Majus.
Ah, that's right. Yes. Sorry.
Because Ali radiallahu anhu, he had a type of sword which had a different name, which had a pointy tip and was slightly curved.
Mm.
And it wasn't, yani, subhanallah, the what they attribute today is Allah musta'an. But yeah, it was, the daggers that, you know, for example, the same type of dagger that Ali radiallahu, Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu was stabbed with, poison dagger, is a similar type of dagger that Ali radiallahu anhu was stabbed with.
No.
Now, he was stabbed, Abdurrahman ibn Muljim killed Ali with a dagger before Fajr. So Ali radiallahu anhu is on his way to Fajr prayer.
Yeah.
And Abdurrahman ibn Muljim had a poison dagger and he stabbed him with it. He's on the way to Fajr, yeah. And subhanallah, Ali has guards. Sometimes, you know, Ali would have guards with him. But they said to him, you know, why do you not take the guards with you? And he said, khalas, he said, Allah is my protector and he sends angels to protect me. And he said, khalas, once Allah wants to take me, he will remove the protection from me. And that's what happened, subhanallah. Yani when Ali was stabbed by Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, he was stabbed with a poison dagger, to which he died, radiallahu anhu. His daughter Kulthum, all right, she would say, Mali wa salat al-ghadat. What's with me and the prayers of dawn? My husband was killed at the time of Fajr, and my father is now killed at the time of Fajr. Her husband, Umar ibn al-Khattab, was stabbed at Fajr by Abu Lu'lu' al-Majusi.
Yes.
And Ali radiallahu anhu is killed by Abdurrahman ibn Muljim.
Yes.
Now, Al-Barq al-Tamimi, he stabbed Muawiyah. Okay, so we said Al-Barq al-Tamimi, he said, I will kill Muawiyah. He stabbed Muawiyah, but Muawiyah didn't die. Muawiyah survived.
Bit of Arabic in there.
Yeah. Muawiyah survived.
Sorry, just quickly, Sheikh. Sorry, someone just asking, where do you get the information from? Is it like a specific book, or did you studies over time, obviously?
I love the question. Where'd you get that information from?
There's also another question about, I think, Yani, I don't know if you want to quickly take it. It just can you explain what you know about the versions of the Quran? Example like Hafs and Susi.
They're different qira'at.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's leave the questions that aren't related.
No problem.
They can send them to us, inshallah, like via inbox.
Yeah.
And I'll explain, inshallah, as well towards the end, yani where people can go to if they wanna look into the history. Al-Barq al-Tamimi, he stabs Muawiyah. Yeah. Muawiyah doesn't die. Okay.
No.
Now, and then you have Amr bin Abu Bakr al-Tamimi. He's now out to kill who?
Amr ibn al-As.
Amr ibn al-As at Fajr.
Yes.
Amr ibn al-As was sick that day.
He didn't get Fajr.
He felt sick. So he sent Kharija bin Abi Habib to pray Fajr in his position. So Amr ibn al-As felt sick.
Yes.
And he couldn't go out to the Fajr prayer. So he appointed Kharija, who was in charge of the policing at the time, to pray Fajr with the people.
No.
So Amr, Amr bin Abi Bakr al-Tamimi stabs Kharija. So they said
mistaking him for Amr ibn al-As.
No. So he said, I killed Amr ibn al-As. They said, no, you didn't. They said, why did you stab him? He said, I wanted to kill Amr ibn al-As. They said, but this is not Amr ibn al-As, this is Kharija. So you know what he says? He says, أردت عمرا وأراد الله خارجة. And you look at his response. He says, خلاص, I wanted to kill Amr, but Allah wanted Kharija dead. So I killed Kharija instead. That's their mentality. Yani they have no remorse. This was really the last blow for the Khawarij at the time.
Yeah.
This was their last blow.
This was the big move.
These three were from the three elites of the Khawarij.
No.
Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, Amr bin Abi Bakr al-Tamimi, and Al-Barq al-Tamimi. Now they were all captured.
By Ali.
They were all captured.
No, Ali's dead. Ali's dead.
They were all captured.
Yes.
Once every one of them did what they did, they got captured.
Yes.
They were all executed. Do you remember with the name we mentioned before, Al-Ash'ath bin Qais?
Yes.
And we said no problem happened to Ali radiallahu anhu, except that
he was
Ash'ath
behind
was
it.
behind it. Some of the historians say, of Islam, they say that the day Abdurrahman ibn Muljim killed Ali, that night he slept at the house of Al-Ash'ath bin Qais.
Oh, subhanallah.
These names are big names in the Khawarij.
Yes, yes.
You know, and that was their main last final straw. And then khalas, they deviated in their own deviance
Difference of aqid.
of belief,
Of
of understanding, and they would appear every now and then and disappear.
disappear.
Appear and disappear. And that's just how they are. They appear and disappear. And they're very barbaric people,
Yeah.
and they're people who are very treacherous. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he warned us of them. Now, subhanallah, what you find is, I'll give you an example.
Mm.
There is a very interesting thing when it comes to these names that we mentioned. The one who killed Ali, Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, wasn't just a guy who was bored, didn't know.
Mm.
Abdurrahman ibn Muljim was a hafiz of the Quran and one of the Qurra. Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, he was endorsed by Umar radiallahu anhu. Umar ibn al-Khattab sent a letter to Amr ibn al-As, who was the governor of Iraq.
Mm.
And he said to him, I am sending you this man who is very fluent and he is one of the top reciters of the Quran. And I want you to give him a position and I want you to give him a place that he can teach the Quran in.
Wow, man.
So he's got a letter from Umar ibn al-Khattab
Yeah.
saying, look,
The
you know,
qualities of this man. He's a great man.
Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, how did his Khariji ways come? Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, he met a woman with a Khariji mentality. He married a woman who had the mentality of the Khawarij. And a woman, look, a Khariji woman is 10 times worse than a Khariji man. Like the women of the Khawarij were worse than the men of the Khawarij.
Is there a specific reason for that? Just before someone starts calling you a sexist?
Because the women of the men of the Khawarij
Yeah.
at the time, their main focus was battle, fighting, khuruj, killing.
Nah.
Whereas the women, and if you were to read
Yeah.
that some of these women of the Khawarij, right,
Yeah.
they would tell their husbands, for example, you divorce me if you don't do 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You know, I am this, I am that from Yani. There was
Let's
a
fuel the
big
fire. Yani.
fuel, for that. And Abdurrahman ibn Muljim wasn't Khariji. He didn't have
Yeah.
that mentality.
Yeah.
But when he married that woman, she corrupted him.
Yeah, I could imagine. SubhanAllah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is like for all the brothers and the sisters out there that tell you, oh, well, look, man, I know she's this, but
Yeah.
I will change her. Habibi, she will most likely change you. And the same thing goes for the vice versa.
Yeah.
For the sisters that want to marry, you know, a corrupt individual,
Yeah.
hoping that they may change him. No, rather they will most likely change you.
Yeah, SubhanAllah.
Wallah al-musta'an. But yeah, look, that's in a nutshell. They're uprising and they're falling. In a nutshell. There's a lot more detail we can go into.
Yeah.
But I think
MashaAllah, it's a very, very detailed explanation so
yeah,
far.
that's all it needs, Yani.
Yeah.
To go into like further, like for example, what they say in some of their fiqh matters,
Yeah.
how they apply
That
their
doesn't-
rulings.
Yeah.
It's not, but at least you know how the Khawarij stemmed,
Yeah,
what their
who they
beliefs
are.
were, what their characteristics are. Yani, you know what they're like,
Yeah.
how they apply their religion, what are the main aspects that they take into consideration when applying these things. Then that's all we need to know. And I think that inshallah ends it with the Khawarij.
Yeah.
And then next week we'll go into the next sect inshallah.
Inshallah. So just a quick summary, inshallah. The 8,000 kharaju an Ali,
Mhm.
radiallahu anhu.
Some of them historians say 6,000.
Okay.
And
This
some
difference-
say 8,000.
8,000.
The
But
Allah
more
Alam, more
correct-
correct is
Oh,
8,000.
Okay. And then 4,000 returned back to the army of
With
Ali.
they returned with Abdullah bin Abbas.
Abdullah bin Abbas. With back to the army of Ali, radiallahu anhu. And 4,000 of them remained as Khawarij. And then later on, in time,
After they had did what they did
Yeah.
with the
They were pretty
Sahaba
much
and killed the messenger.
exiled.
After their exile and their treachery, Ali radiallahu anhu formed the army and he fought them
Yes.
in Nahrawan,
Yep.
where he killed 2,000 of them, and the other
7
ones
of his army was
dispersed.
dead.
And 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
There's a dispute on that
that
one,
one.
whether he died or survived.
Subhanallah. And then from there, those 2,000s, what was the name again? Sorry,
From the 2000s that dispersed,
yeah.
all right, from them were groups and they formed That's where they started forming groups. But from their heads were, like I told you, for example, Al-Ash'ath bin Qais.
Yep.
And then there was Abdurrahman ibn Muljim.
Yep.
And there was and there was Abu Bakr bin Amr al-Tamimi.
Yep.
And there was Al-Barq al-Tamimi.
Al-Barq, that's right.
They were the ones who plotted the killing and you know. And like I said, some of the historians do mention that behind the plotting of these killings was Al-Ash'ath bin Qais.
No.
Forming that plotting and that planning.
Khair, inshallah. Okay, then Al-Ash'ath bin Qais was forming the plan, and then what was it?
Al-Ash'ath bin Qais.
Al-Ash'ath, not Ash'ar, sorry.
Yeah. But the ones who carried out the killings
were the Amr and Barq.
Yes, Amr ibn Abi Bakr al-Tamimi, Al-Barq
al-Tamimi,
and Abdurrahman ibn Muljim.
A lot of names.
So the reason why I didn't want to mention names, but
but it's good. It's good, as well.
The reason why I'm mentioning names is so we are in line. Like, you know, Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, he killed Ali. Al-Barq al-Tamimi, he killed Muawiyah. He went to kill Muawiyah. And Abu Bakr bin Amr ibn Abi Bakr al-Tamimi, he wanted to kill Amr ibn As. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then Al-Ash'ath bin Qais, he was the one who orchestrated it all, according to many of the historians.
Yes.
Because they said, there would have been a plan.
No.
You know, and they were the three they were the three sent to do the hits.
Yes. There's always.
And how they knew, if they had killed all of them, then they would have got what they wanted, because all the heads would have been removed.
Only Muawiyah survived.
Muawiyah and Amr.
Only
Ali radiallahu anhu was killed.
He didn't attend Fajr.
And that completes the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he was on Uhud. And he was him, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Umar.
Umar ibn Khattab, him and.
Sorry, no, Ali wasn't with him. But the killing of Uthman is where the Prophet ﷺ, when it was Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman with the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, "Be steady, O Uhud, for on you is a messenger, a truthful one, and two martyrs." And then Azur Ali radiallahu anhu was killed as a martyr. He was killed obviously on his journey. He was. And Muawiyah survived, and Amr ibn al-As wasn't harmed. And then after that, Bani Umayyah forms. And the Khilafah of Bani Umayyah, Muawiyah took over from there. And then there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history.
Who's sorry, just maybe I'll quickly read through. I think maybe there might be questions. Even the guy who killed Hassan, I know were in all three varies. Something about the killing of Hussein, freedom. I think it was just a discussion between the comments. Barakallah fiqh, Sheikh. Very detailed, and it's a lot to take in.
Alhamdulillah, but good.
It's discovered the topic well. I think for myself as well, alhamdulillah, I've learned a few things, and that's another thing as well. Inshallah, obviously the Sheikh is the one who knows all this. Myself, I'm learning along the way, inshallah. If anyone has any questions,
even me, when I go back to it. And for the brother who did ask, obviously within our study we did do sects. Especially when you do when you specialize in aqidah, and if you want to excel in aqidah, you tend to learn the sects and the groups. This is because aqidah and tawheed is very easy. Subhanallah, aqidah and tawheed, like just the aqidah itself, the belief of a Muslim is so straightforward and so easy. If it wasn't for these sects and these groups,
the books of aqidah would be so small.
And it's basic.
But
when you want to excel and see where people have gone wrong and why they've gone wrong and their understandings, and then refute that understanding. Now look, the Khawarij, it wasn't in their major concerns were not really pertaining to Allah's names or His attributes. Even though the tahkim issue and the misunderstanding of the hukm and whatnot. But you would see some groups, like, they deviate with Allah, who Allah is and what Allah is and how Allah is, and the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and etc. You would see, just for our viewers, you would see that there are groups from the Shia who say that Allah is a being that continues to spin. Even though these groups aren't appearing today, they're not with us today, but they did branch off to that at one point. Some groups of the Shia, even though the Shia may say, no, you're not from us, but they did branch from you.
Yes, fine.
You know
That's
what I mean?
another funny thing you'll see later on, inshallah.
Yeah.
Yani, within the sects, some of them have deviated so far that even people from that say, be like, no.
Yeah, that's
these,
right.
These are extreme Shiites, for example, or something like, subhanAllah.
Just like the Christians, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
The Christians, you have, like, for example, you have the Catholics who'll tell you that Jehovah is a spinner.
Yeah.
And the Jehovah will tell you they're not real Catholic. Allah al-Musta'an.
SubhanAllah.
We ask Allah Ta'ala to keep us firm.
Ameen, ya
And
Rab.
inshallah, next week we'll keep tuned, and inshallah we'll release the next sect we're going to talk about. We don't necessarily have to talk about every group in its form,
Chronological order.
but we will mention the head of the sects, because
Yes.
even the heads were not really in chronological order.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But we will, inshallah, we'll release, inshallah, in the next few days, our next one, bi'idhnillah ta'ala.
Barakallah fiqh, Sheikh. Barakallah fikum for everyone who attended, inshallah. And if those missed out any part of it, you can watch it on YouTube. I'll be uploading it by tomorrow. And just once again to clarify, inshallah, not to concern yourself too much with the thumbnail. We don't mean that the saved sect is the one that's on the thumbnail itself.
You're going to have a problem every week then.
Yeah, Allah put a sha'ar, a saved sect. Oh, no, inshallah. So it's just a series called The Saved Sect. And yeah, you guys get the imagine.
Barakallah fikum.
Barakallah
Allah reward
fikum.
you, and we
Jazakallah
ask
khair.
Allah Ta'ala to accept.
Ameen ya Rab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وكأن بالمرء قد يبكي عليه أقربوه وكأن القوم قد قاموا فقالوا أدركوه سائلوه كلموه حركوه لقنوه فإذا استيأس منه القوم قالوا حرفوه وجهوه مددوه